Hey everyone, this is Katie Sweetman, and it's time for another very special edition of Empowering Astrology. This is your look at the astrology of April 19th through 25th, 2021. You might notice that my surroundings look a little bit different for this week. It's because I'm visiting family and I've actually pre-recorded this. We're not doing this live, but I know a lot of you watch or listen to the recorded version. So, maybe you're not going to notice much of a difference, especially those that are listening on Spotify. But if you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on IGTV, yeah, we have new digs this week. So yeah, I'm out of town. I'm visiting family. I'm finally getting a chance to go someplace. You know how I say every week, like, can't travel, so I gotta travel through you. So yes, I'm in a secret location somewhere in the United States. So yeah, let's look at the astrology this week of April 19th through 25th, 2021. My name again is Katie Sweetman. I am normally based in Brooklyn, New York. I am an astrologer and a psychic medium. You can find me online at empoweringastrology.com. So let's look at the astrology this week. And I say this sort of in advance of a full moon on April 26th. And I know we're not quite there. We're not quite at that full moon yet, but I keep getting these little emails, direct messages from people about this so-called really crazy full moon on April 26th. And I just want everybody just to kind of, be a little calm and grounded. And yeah, it's Taurus season. We're actually starting this week, Sun in Taurus. So Taurus is the earth beneath our feet. It is the first earth sign. It connects us to the earth. It connects us to the earth in a very sort of raw way. There can be the earth in terms of what we plant, what we grow, our environment, but then there's also earth in terms of what sustains us, what takes care of us, whether it's food, whether it's money. We do live in a material world. We got to take care of ourselves, or the roof over our head, resources. So Taurus is a very nuts and bolts sign. This is a sign that invites each and every one of us to find stability, because we need stability. You need stability in order for life to flourish. Now imagine you are an ancestor, or even imagine you are yourself and you have a garden and you're trying to plant something. You want the conditions to be right. You want them to be perfect. You want them to be free of any sort of calamities. And Taurus is like, yeah, we need everything to be nice and stable and relaxed for life to flourish. And that's nothing wrong with that. So I was starting to talk about this full moon and how I'm getting some kind of nervous messages from people. And here's the thing, and I do this every week. I talk about stories, and astrology is about time. Something that we've talked about every week. Astrology is about time. It is about our relationship with time. And it is these stories that weave in and out of our lives over weeks, over years. So this full moon that's on April 26th is actually part of a bigger story, and one that we've been talking about before. I say go back to May of 2018, March of 2019. That was the month that Uranus first went into Taurus. Uranus is part of this class of planets, or what are called outer planets. They move slowly. Uranus takes 7 years to go through each sign of the zodiac. And even though I was just saying a moment ago, Taurus season, we need stability, we need sort of the fertility of the earth to plant life, to grow, to feed ourselves, sustain ourselves, take care of ourselves. But Uranus is anything but that. Outer planets such as Uranus, their job is to get us out of our way by any means possible. And for Uranus, how we're getting out of our way is by turning everything upside down. It's about shaking things up, opening our eyes. And I mean this metaphorically. It's that proverbial lightning bolt that comes in and we see things differently. It's the energy of Prometheus. Prometheus, this Greek myth of a god who gave fire to humanity and changed everything. And I think for a lot of you, life has changed a lot since 2018, 2019. We can just look at 2020 and all the big changes that happened. And I even go beyond COVID, because I think, and I've had this conversation over and over again, I've had it with family, I've had it with friends, I've had it with clients, is that there's been a silver lining in our time in 2020 and 2021. And yes, there's been a lot of adversity, but it's, for some of us, it's been the push that we've needed in order to make necessary changes. So if you're nervous about, oh, what's going to happen this week? What's going to happen with this full moon? Am I safe? Am I secure? Well, okay, stop, ground, listen to your body, listen to the fears that are coming up, these fears about stability and security. Where are these fears coming from? Are they an imprint from family? Are they an imprint from the past? Are they an imprint from past lives? Are they an imprint from our community? Because here's where the real transformation can happen. With the astrology, not just of this week, but this full moon that's on April 26th, is that we use it to open our eyes and to no longer be in the patterns or the ruts, Taurus, the things that we are overly comfortable with, we are stuck in. Taurus is a lovely sign. I say this as a Scorpio. Taurus is my opposite sign. But every sign of the zodiac has a shadow. And what is the shadow of Taurus? Well, if it's not the earth beneath our feet, then we're stuck in something. We're stuck in the mud. We're not able to move. We're afraid to take a risk. We're afraid to take a leap. We are overly holding on to something, hoarding, and even holding on to lots of stuff, lots of resources, overly holding on to stuff and resources. That's the shadow side of Taurus. So this full moon is saying, okay, what are you holding on to? What do you think is safe, overly safe? What have you attached yourself to because that's been like the thing, the life raft or the pattern or the past? And I even say this for things that the stories we tell ourselves, because a lot of us, and me too, I'm a human being as well, we're overly attached to stories that maybe we shouldn't be so attached to anymore. So things are shaking up this week, the week of April 19th through 25th, 2021. Why? Well, here we go. Sun is now in Taurus. Now that the sun is in Taurus, we kick off this 4-week exploration of all things Taurus. So yes, it's a time to find stability and security. Yes, it's a time to reevaluate your relationship with money, food. Make sure that you have everything that you need. Take pleasure, take comfort. Taurus is a sign that really revels in the pleasure and comfort of physical life. It's food, it's sex, it's sensuality, it's touch, it's taste, it's smell. It's very all the senses are very much activated in Taurus. You think about, I say this, somebody who's from the Northeast of the United States, and this time of year, and the flowers are coming out. You start to have the smells of spring and the smells of things coming back to life. Like I said, Taurus is a very sensual sign. But where are we in that shadow of Taurus? Where are we sort of afraid and stuck? And so now that the sun is in Taurus, it's going to activate the story of 2018 and 2019 when Uranus first went to Taurus. It's a big deal when a planet like Uranus goes into a new sign because it doesn't happen very often. Just for a sense of historical context, Uranus was last in Taurus in 1930s, early 1940s. It's an 84-year cycle. It takes 84 years for Uranus to get back to where it was, that last point in time. Yes, where Uranus is right now is where it was in the sky roughly 84 years ago. It's what's called a Uranus return. So if you're 84 and you're watching, happy Uranus return. But now that the sun is in Taurus, it activates the story. Venus is in Taurus. Venus is in Taurus as of April 14th, so last week. So Venus, the ruler of Taurus, is also in Taurus. So all this kind of energy is focused on Taurus. Speaking, and Mercury also, not to get ahead of myself, Mercury is also in Taurus as of April 19th of 2021. So we've got Sun, Mercury, Venus, Uranus, all in Taurus. It's 4 planets in Taurus. And if we take the Uranus component out of this, we would be having a very different conversation. We would be talking about money. We'd be talking about what can you do to get back into the physicality of life. We've had this very difficult year collectively, varying so for most people. And maybe we've sort of lost touch with our bodies. We've gotten a little sad and depressed and locked up indoors. And, I know I've been locked up indoors the better part of a year. And sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but I remember there was this video that was going around. I think it was from the BBC, where they showed you keep the cows, allegedly you keep the cows inside all winter, and there's that moment where you let them out to go graze. Winter's now over, and they are happy little cows. They are jumping around. So maybe we are kind of feeling the sense of like, we can kind of get outside, we can breathe, we can taste, we can touch. Hopefully we can safely touch. And so maybe there's this energy of like movement this week. There's excitement, or maybe there's a lot of fear, like, oh, am I safe to go out? Am I safe to touch? Am I safe to smell and to taste? And all the Taurus things, like, what do I need in order to feel grounded, rooted, and stable right now? So yeah, 4 planets, and one of them is Uranus. It's the energy of awakening, shocks. Now that's a word that's going to make people feel a little, ugh, she said shocks, what? It's a planet of new consciousness, evolution, revolution, transformation. So there's a certain part of your life, I will put this in the show notes. It's called, there's an article I wrote a couple years ago called Uranus and Taurus Sign by Sign. And if you read for your sun and your rising, and I have talked about this on previous Facebook Lives or previous podcasts, so this is not the first time we've talked about what this means for you, but that article will tell you exactly the area of your life that needs revolution, reformation, transformation, new awakenings. This can include your beliefs. Maybe you have these very sort of hard and fast beliefs about things or yourself or your self-worth, but it's holding you back. And Uranus is trying to get your attention. Uranus is trying to shake you up by any means possible. At the core of this time is for you to get back to you. Because we are very culturally conditioned within our families to fit a certain mold, and maybe that mold is not us. So if you are having some radical thoughts this week, or if you are wanting to do a 180, of course, breathe, get grounded, make sure this is what do you need right now. But this is that kind of week where we're checking in with a story that for some people might be 180s. The story that I tell over and over again is that up until March of 2019, I had a 20-year career in IT and graphic design. But I knew that was not my path. That was not what I came here on this earth to do. And I had this side hustle. I was an astrologer. But I knew there was going to be a point where I was going to have to make the leap. And what happened starting in 2018, well, Uranus was like, well, shoot, she's not moving. I got to push her. And, life sort of was starting to push me to make that leap. And I did. I left behind, quit my job, and now I'm doing this full time. And I know for some of you that are listening or my clients, and, we have these really great relationships and, helping you to grow and transform. And that's why I came here. And Uranus as an energy knew that, but I was afraid. I'm being completely honest. I'm a human being. I was afraid to put myself out there. I live in New York City. I got paid New York City rent. All the things that were going on in my head. But I knew at the end of the day, I had to be 100% true to myself, because God forbid I got hit by a bus or I got hit by the subway, I would have a lot to answer for. God would be like, you literally found the thing you came here to do. And what, you were afraid? So I say this in case fears are coming up. And if you are feeling a fear, what is it tied to? What's underneath? Is it really about what you are, what's coming up for you, or is it about something deeper? I'm just sharing some of my own personal story so you can kind of get a sense of where I'm coming from and how my own experiences have helped me to see this energy of Uranus, this really powerful energy of Uranus, because I think the more that we resist who we really are, that's where you get the shocks. That's where you get the breaks. So pay attention this week. What is the story coming up for you? How is it threaded back to these different moments in time? This moment in time that began May of 2018, March of 2018, and then successively at different points. For example, every time the sun is in Leo, the sun is in Aquarius, the sun is in Taurus, we get these little boops, these little page turns in this ongoing chapter and story. So to that point, Venus makes something called a conjunction to Uranus on, oh God, I think it's Wednesday, April, I don't have my calendar in front of me. We're going to look at it right now as we're looking online. The 22nd of April, see, I looked at my calendar. The 22nd of April is when Venus joins Uranus in Taurus. That's Thursday, here at least. And in the run up to that, we're going to feel the push and the pull. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is that, yes, we have all this energy happening in Taurus this week with Uranus, but then we have Saturn over in Aquarius. And so something that I've talked about in some of my social media posting this week is that in 2021, it's as if we have one foot in a new life. We have one foot and an old life. And you've heard me talk about this before. And we're kind of being pulled towards this new way, or this new path, or this new direction. But there's this other foot that's in the old. And for some of us, we are terrified to let go of the old. The old could be a career, it could be a marriage, it could be a pattern or a belief, or your relationship with your body, your relationship with your health. It could be a lot of different things. You have to just kind of see what's right for you, of course. And for some of you, it's not going to be as much of a tension, but there is a need in 2021 to resolve this split. We do it by creating new systems, new choices, new ways of being, and having the courage and the bravery to leave behind something that never truly was us in the first place. So we're feeling that this week. We're feeling the push and pull of the tectonic plates of our life. And so for some of us, as we get to later this week, there may be a light bulb that goes off. There may be a transformation, an awakening, God forbid, a shock. But if it's something out of left field, is it truly? And this is sort of my question, maybe it's a little confrontational question of what this means for you, if indeed that is the case. How are you being pushed back towards where you need to go towards? And again, these are just sort of generalized comments and statements for those that are watching and listening. And then we're going to go into the weekend, and we have a few Venus is money, it's material value, material worth, self-worth, it's relationships. So maybe there's sort of these awakening and shifts and shakes of relationships and money and what we value as we go into later this week. And then Venus will square Saturn on the 25th of April. So there's a need to sort of all the changes that we're making right now, how do we make them real? That's what Saturn wants. If Uranus is shaking things up and awakening things, on the other side of things, Saturn wants it to become structured, stable, grounded. It just might be in a very different place than where it has been. Mercury will also join up with Uranus this week. It'll square Saturn. This is all in advance of the April 26th full moon in Scorpio. Yes, Scorpio. Scorpio is the other side of Taurus. It makes us face our fears. It says that life needs transformation. Life needs this sort of push and pull and alchemy in order for us to grow and evolve. We have to get uncomfortable. That's what Scorpio teaches us, that things have to end, things have to change and transform. So this full moon is highlighting where we need to transform, where we need to face our fears, where we need to grow and evolve, because true growth doesn't happen without some sort of evolutionary force or push or alchemy, because that's where the real change happens. So it's a hot week astrologically. And then on top of that, Mars goes into Cancer on April 24th, Friday. So Mars, leaves Gemini, it goes into Cancer. Cancer is not it's not a sign that Mars is at home in, and traditional terms would say Mars is in its fall. Because it's opposite the sign of words and its dignity. It's Capricorn. Some traditional astrology rules. It's a traditional astrology rule for a reason. We can't leave it behind. But that doesn't mean that Mars can't work in Cancer. It just has to work differently. So what is Cancer? Cancer is home and family. It's the archetype that teaches us about how to feel safe, how to feel nurtured, how to, have a roof over our head, how to feel, it kind of sounds a little bit like Taurus. Well, that's because Cancer and Taurus have a relationship with each other. The moon is exalted. The moon is a ruler of Cancer. It's exalted in Taurus and Venus. So we have this sort of interplay between Cancer and Taurus, and we understand that even though Taurus is an earth sign, it really does speak to these themes of home and family and needing to feel nurtured and needing to feel safe because the moon is exalted in Taurus. So we are entering this time where we need to focus on our homes, focus on our families, focusing on emotional connection, the past, nostalgia, for better or for worse. Mars, this is where Mars is a little bit of an awkward placement for Cancer. Mars heats things up. Mars wants to take action. It can be a little aggressive, or it can be brave, or it can be courageous. And it's sort of, it's a little bit all elbows, so to speak, when it's in Cancer. So we might feel very motivated and driven, Mars, to make emotional connections. Cancer, to prioritize family and home. But there's another side of it. Mars is also temper and aggression, and maybe we are feeling very emotional and hot, and we, what happens when a little baby doesn't get what it wants? It gets frustrated, it cries, it has a tantrum. So you sort of can get a little bit of that tantrum energy with Mars and Cancer, just sort of putting this on your radar, nothing to worry about. But how do we, again, give Mars and Cancer a positive outlet? So really look at your familial connections. And I know for many of you, I know because you were my clients, family is a little bit of a prickly, complicated word, but we're human beings and we need connection, and sometimes that connection has to come in other forms, meaning it's not the people that we are blood related to, it's the people who are like family. So maybe this is a time to really focus on, well, how do you create family? How do you create connection? Even if it's not the people that you are related to, how do you set hard boundaries with the people that you are related to that maybe aren't the best influences? Sometimes people need to make that, to set that boundary with the people that they're related to. Maybe it's time to reassess how you are getting your needs met, especially after this really intense year. So, Mars will make things hot in a certain part of your life. So let's just quickly go around the zodiac so you know exactly where. Aries. So Cancer is your sign of home and family. It sort of forms the base and the root of your chart. So for you, everything that I just said sort of doubly applies. It's a time to focus on home and family. And since Mars is a little bit of, Mars is your planet, it's time for you to really take action in your home environment. And this often comes with a move. This is sort of the natural 6-week, one of the natural periods in your astrological calendar when there may be a move, there may be a change in the home, there may be something about family or the home that needs your attention. Mars is not a quiet influence, but yet it's in a part of the chart that tends to be a little bit more subdued and quiet. So now maybe the home environment is noisy. Maybe you're making renovations, you're doing home projects, because Mars is also the ruler of Scorpio, maybe you're digging up a lot of emotional material, especially deep buried emotional material about the past, about family, and even about ancestors. It might be a time when you have to air some of your old skeletons. But nevertheless, it's time to see a lot of movement and change in the home environment, and it's going to be a little bit of a noisy and busy time for you going into May. Taurus. So Cancer for you is the sign of voice and communication. So maybe you have a lot to say. over the next 6 weeks. Taurus, let's not forget everything that I was saying in the intro to this video about the change and the transformations over the last few years. Well, this is you. You have been changing and transforming powerfully, radically over the past few years, and you might now have a lot to say. Mars is in the part of the chart that does talk about voice, it talks about communication, it talks about writing, listening, learning, information, ideas. Maybe you're taking classes. Maybe you're feeling really restless and you need to get out and you need to move. This part of the chart also talks about travel, although it's more like trips. It's more about moving around the neighborhood, going, doing road trips safely, however you need to do this. But it's going to be a little bit of a busy time for you. And I think that even with all this other astrology that's happening right now, the full moon that's on the 26th, it's a hot time for you. So this part of the chart also talks about choices and needing to sort of weigh our options. And I think with everything that's happening or has been happening for you, Taurus, and will be happening for you, you're at a sort of a crossroads. You have to make some choices over the next 4, 5, 6 weeks that are going to put you in a different direction. Gemini. So yeah, Mars left your sign, sort of was heating things up in Gemini for the last 6 weeks, and now it's in your sign of money, income, material stability. You are now very motivated to focus on your material life. So this includes focusing on money, looking at your bank accounts, trying to get the resources and the goods and the material things that you need in order to feel safe and secure. Maybe you're spending a lot. Maybe you're having to look at your spending, Taurus. Maybe you're like, wait, or not Taurus, Gemini. Maybe you're like, what do I own? Like, maybe I need to get rid of some things. With Cancer being in this part of the chart, Gemini, sometimes you can be a little emotionally attached to the things that you own. But how do you let go of that, or how do you reassess that value? But nevertheless, this is a time to make investments, a time to make investments in yourself, your self-worth, your stability, your security. And how do you sort of get rooted and grounded in your life? I mean, Gemini, it's been a big time, and it will continue to be a big time over the next few months, especially as we go into eclipse season in May and June. But yeah, also look at your self-worth, look at your value of friendships, how you are valued by friends, how you are valued by your community, and also, look at how you can kind of clean up and organize things in your life, especially the things that you own. Cancer, Mars is in your sign. Normally Cancer, you're very driven to feel, you're driven to move and to go, but here comes Mars. Mars is sort of making you a little hot, a little temperamental. So maybe Cancer, you have a lot to say over the next 6 weeks. Maybe you're in a little bit of a fighting mood. No, I won't get in fight with Cancer, but Cancer, you've been in this much bigger time. It's been like a decade of really shifting and changing relationship in your life. And this has included looking at sort of imbalances in your relationships and how sometimes people have power over you. But here's the thing, with Mars and Cancer, you sort of have the power right now. You have the drive, you have the courage, you have the initiative, and sort of you've got that in your back pocket. So if somebody is trying to come at you, or you have some sort of disagreement or something that's unsettled or unresolved, and you feel powerless, really do remember that Mars is supporting you at this time. Like I said, Mars is bravery and courage, and this is a time to have bravery and courage. Mars is your career planet, so you also might feel very driven, very ambitious, taking on new responsibilities, sort of being recognized for your hard work. And this is also the start of a new cycle for you. Yes, Mars going into your sign is sort of this new initiative, new drive, new beginnings, moving forward. And so you might really feel like things are shifting and moving, and you've sort of turned this page into this next sort of personal chapter for you, but you just might be a little hot-headed, a little temperamental for the next 6 weeks. Leo. So now Mars is in the last sign of your chart. Yes, Cancer forms the last sign of your zodiac wheel. And when Mars is in this part, typically you're a little lower energy. You're sort of coming to the end of a great cycle. Mars, by the way, has these 2-year cycles. Mars takes 2 years to go around the sun. So you're sort of coming to the end of this 2-year chapter. And to that point, when you sort of get to the end of something, it's time to reflect. It's time to divest yourself of the things that you've been holding on to that you don't need to hold on to anymore. It's time to retreat. It's time to think about the bigger picture and your philosophy, the meaning, and also trying to find internal meaning. But I say this in case you're feeling a little bit low energied for the next month, 5-6 weeks, because Mars is a little lower key in this part of the chart. What it is saying is that you can have action, you can have initiative and drive. It just has to be put towards different things right now. So really work on your self-care, work on spiritual self-care, dreams, your intuition, work on your intuition. That's where your energy needs to go right now. It's really tending to the totality of you. I mean, that's not just as a physical being, but also as a spiritual being. And then know that when Mars goes into Leo, I think it's in the end of May or beginning of June. I'm not quite sure. I don't have the date in front of me. That's when you get that sort of reset, that renewal. With so much happening in Taurus right now, and Taurus for you, Leo, is your career sign. Maybe you need to do a lot of deep soul searching and deep diving so that you can get a better sense of what changes you need to make in your professional life. I think for Leo, not everybody's going to make a radical career shift. Not every Leo is shifting careers, but for some Leos, that's happening. You sort of went to 2018 in one career. Now here it is, 2021. It's the game is completely different. For some Leos, this is about how do you do you, but do you 100%. Don't hold back, don't limit, don't have fears. If you have talents that you came here to share with the world, you came here to be something, be that. Don't be anybody else. And to that point, maybe you got to get very internal and look within to kind of see, well, what's the underpinnings to what's happening in my life? Where is this all coming from? Where are these fears? Where are these insecurities? Where are they stemming from? So this is sort of the deeper work that you're doing over the next coming weeks. Virgo, so Cancer for you is your sign of friends and community. So you are really motivated and really driven to find connection. This includes your social circle, friendships, new friendships, reigniting your friendships. This also includes sort of the greater whole, like where do you belong? I mean, we've sort of spent this year in varying states of isolation, and I think it's a really good reminder that we're humans. Humans are not meant to be isolated. That's not how we are conditioned by millions of years of evolution. Like, we need connection, we need society, we need community, we need humanity, we need each other. And so it's a time to really reach out, to build connection, especially connection, that people that feel like family to you, even if they're not family. How do you treat your neighbor like they're family? How do you treat the people in your community like they're family? Or maybe you're trying to get more connected. This also include virtual connections with other people. This part of the chart does talk about social causes, social justice, being more involved on political or larger scale. So maybe you're feeling very motivated to get involved in something at this time. Libra. So Cancer is your career sign. It forms the top of your chart, and the top of your chart talks about the direction that you take in life, the role that you play, where are you headed, what are your ambitions? And so Mars is heating up your career. The next 6 weeks are really pushing and motivating you to take action in your professional life. And maybe this includes a career change, or really going after that goal that you've been working towards, or maybe it's a realization of a goal that you've been working for. You sort of have a lot of power, a lot of drive right now to go out there and do something. Mars is sort of also making you sort of direct your life in a certain direction. Mars is, kind of an accidental dignity in this part of the chart, even though it's in Cancer. So you do have power, you do have drive, you do have bravery and courage in your professional life. So just like use it and put it towards something. Now that Mars is here, this is like the first time Mars is in Cancer without Saturn being down in Capricorn, with Pluto no less. And so I think this is a very different time for you in your professional life. Libra, I think that now that you've done all this really deep work, like what does that now build upon? And so really examine your ambitions and examine, where do you want to be in the coming weeks and years? And I know there's a lot of question marks about the world right now, but don't forget what you came here to do. Scorpio. So this part of your chart talks about travel. It talks about faith, truth, meaning, and it also talks about education. So Mars is your planet, sort of left the deep depths of deep depths of Gemini, where you had to do a lot of internal work, a lot of looking at the both sides of you, the shadow side of you, really weighing these two sides that live within you, in which, Scorpio, that you are the sign that is the embodiment of the duality of life. You are, the light and the dark within. And where do you find that balance? Well, you have to kind of do that internal soul searching and work from time to time. And that's what you were doing the last 6 weeks with Mars and Gemini. But now Mars has gone into Cancer, and so you're kind of leaving that kind of internal space of yours, that kind of internal cave, to really live what you have learned. This is also a time for you to reevaluate your convictions, what you believe in, your philosophies on life, or to travel, should you be able to. Maybe this is a time when you're really looking outward and thinking of the places you want to go, or how do you travel, air quotes, the world? How do you see the world? Because it's a time to really nourish wisdom, knowledge in your life. And for some people, this is a time of higher education. You're going back to school. You're planning to really focus on your education in the coming weeks. So this is a little bit more of an existential time, but it's more about the world. It's more about yourself, your place in the world, your convictions, your beliefs. For some people, it's looking at themes around religion, law. It's all things about Jupiter, and how do you expand and grow your mind, and how do you share your wisdom and knowledge right now? Sagittarius, think about that for a moment. Sagittarius. So this part of your chart is what I affectionately call your 8th room in the astrology house. The 8th room is that place we all have to go from time to time. It's a necessary room. It's the room where you have to be tested by life. You have to face yourself. You have to do the introspection. You have to do the psychological work. Without that, you don't have the growth and the evolution that comes through that alchemy, that emotional spiritual alchemy that happens in the 8th room. Cancer is your 8th sign, so there's a lot of deep emotions in this part of your chart, and some of them may be tied to home, family, childhood, and even ancestral patterns. So you're having to sort of do this life and death, facing your mortality. I know, I'm a Scorpio. I talk about death, no problem. But sort of facing the bigger questions of your existence, and why are you here, and what does this all mean, and what are you still holding on to? What do you don't want to bring with you to the other side? God forbid, when you leave this world. So it's a deep work. It is a deep emotional work. It's a time to get vulnerable, to open yourself up to others, to focus on intimacy, focus on sexuality. This includes intimate partnerships, and even on a financial level, because this part of the chart does talk about finance, talks about taxes, talks about wealth, benefits, debt. So maybe you're having to deal with sort of your financial life at this time, including taxes. Well, here it's tax season here in the United States. So yeah, looking at your sort of what is your legacy? What is the legacy of others in your life? And to that point, what do you not want to be your legacy anymore. Capricorn. Cancer is your relationship sign. So having Mars there can do a couple of things. Now, we do have to understand that Mars is not traditionally at home in Cancer, and Mars is not traditionally at home in this part of the chart, because relationships take Venus, meaning they take consensus, they take smoothing things over, they take recognition and understanding one another, and Mars can sometimes be a little self-centered, a little hot-headed. Of course, it's very individualistic. So it's a time when you're really having to focus on relationships, but how do you focus on relationships in a way where you start to figure out how to do a little bit more Venus and a little less Mars? Meaning, if you are having a situation in your life with somebody where you want to be Mars, you want to dominate, you want to cut, you want to, fight, where's the consensus? How do you begin to understand where other people are coming from? So there might be that element to this time with Mars and Cancer. It also is a time when you feel very motivated and driven to connect to other people. And this also could mean that relationships are coming into your life. If you don't have a primary relationship, and if that is something that you want, maybe now is the time where you're really feeling driven to do so. If you are in an existing relationship, especially in an existing relationship that's been a little bit on thin ice, so to speak, Mars is not a quiet influence. It can make things a little hot. So suddenly that issue that nobody is talking about is now right in front of your face, and you have to deal with it, because Mars doesn't sort of let things stay to the side. It could mean that something between you and a partner, it needs to be dealt with now. This doesn't have to be a negative thing. It can be something else. It also could mean that something is going on in your partner's life that that person in your life needs to take attention of. Nevertheless, maybe your interactions with people are a little pointed at the moment, but again, this is a sort of a reminder for you to find some sense of understanding of other people, and to really to kind of get a sense of how do you do more Venus and less Mars? How do you smooth things over? How do you find peace, but at the same time not completely capitulating to other people? Where are we? Aquarius. So getting to the end of things. So Aquarius, this is the part of your chart that talks about health and wellness and how you take care of your body. Like, you need to really focus on your health at this time. So this includes maybe getting more exercise, getting out there, getting some sunshine, getting some fresh air, going for a swim, should you be able to do that. But your body needs attention. Your day-to-day life needs attention. Your schedule needs attention. So where are things in disarray? Meaning, how do you put things back into order? How do you stay things on schedule? How do you prioritize your health and wellness? It includes all wellness. So maybe you're just kind of doing more physical activity, and Mars in this part of the chart can run a little hot, meaning you have a lot of energy. It needs an outlet. It's great for starting a project. It's great for some sort of healthy new initiative, but it can also mean that you're really working a lot and burning the candle at both ends. So I just say this is a little bit of a cautionary thing, Aquarius. Just make sure you're not overworking at the moment, and you're making sure that your needs, your physical needs, and your sort of day-to-day needs are getting taken care of. Pisces, last but not least. So Mars is in your sign of creativity, individuality, self-expression, persona, identity. So Mars is heating things up, and you got a lot to share about yourself. Maybe you're a creative person. Now you have a lot of creative ideas, creative inspiration, and you are just sort of going to town with it. Mars is really making you feel yourself, so to speak. Well, who are you? What makes you you? How do you let that out? I know not every Pisces that's listening is a performer or an artist or a musician, but there's something in you that wants to be let out, to be released, to be expressed. Mars in this part of the chart does talk about children, and should you want more children in your life, this could be time you feel very motivated to get pregnant, of course, for those for whom this is relevant. But Mars is also saying, let's sort of really take action with having fun, leisure, vacation. So maybe you're not in a hardcore work mood right now, Pisces. Maybe you just want to enjoy life. Hey, I don't blame you. And maybe you are sort of getting very motivated to get involved in creative projects. Maybe these kind of deeper themes around what do you believe in, what's your faith, what's your truth, what's your wisdom, and also the value of yourself, self-worth, and the value of what you have to share. So it's a little bit more about the self right now as opposed to other people. It's a little bit more concrete in their lives. But that is your look at the astrology of April 19th through 25th, 2021. Again, my name is Katie Sweetman. This has been your very, very special vacation edition of Empowering Astrology. Like I said, I'm getting a chance to finally visit some family out of state and get some sunshine. Thank God. But I do hope all of you are well, you are staying safe, you are staying connected in the ways that you can, and taking care of yourself, truly, really. So we've got this kind of increasingly tense week ahead of us. It's just a week that's trying to push and pull at the tectonic plates of our lives. And this is not just the capricious whims of an angry God. This is, how do we grow? How do we evolve? And there are going to be points throughout the year or throughout any year that's really trying to push along the story of our lives, and also, more importantly, get us right back on track with who we are and the life we came here to live. And remember, we cannot live anybody else's life. We can only live our own. So again, my name is Katie Sweetman. I'm an astrologer and psychic medium in Brooklyn, New York. I'm just not in Brooklyn, New York right now. You can follow me online at empoweringastrology.com. You can book a consultation with me. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, maybe those who are watching on IGTV, I'm on YouTube, and for those that are listening to Spotify, you can also, listen to this as a podcast. So again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all next week. Bye.